Alright, so this is my SGDQ submission video for SGDQ 2018. I'm submitting a Celeste any percent race between myself and YP, aka YoshiPro. And so let's go ahead and get started. I'll explain the main gist of the game, of the speed game, during the prologue. So here we go, I'm just gonna start. So basically, this game is all about conserving momentum. Conserving momentum in the air that you provide yourself via dashing. So there are a couple different techniques you can use that combine the dash and the jump mechanics in order to go very fast in this game. Jumping here is actually faster, by the way. So there's hyper dashing, which is actually that's a little more complicated. There's dash canceling or dash jumping, which is just dashing and jumping at the same time. It's kind of a high short jump. Hyper dashing is a low longer jump and faster jump. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There are a couple of other techniques that I'll go through throughout the rest of the run, but they aren't too you know, there's a lot of stuff going on in this run, and I'm not sure how often I'm going to be able to actually talk during it and play adequately. This game is best presented speaking for itself, basically. I will say that this is an extremely good game, and also an extremely good speed game. So you can see already I'm making great use of conserving momentum in the air that I'm providing mostly myself via dashing. So this dash right here is called an extended hyper dash. What that does is it allows me to actually keep my dash in the air. And it's just done by dashing and then jumping a little bit later. And it's very useful in a lot of different parts of the run. Never mind my splits, they're all gonna be red, by the way. Splits are all gonna be very red. The estimate for this run is probably going to be somewhere between 40 and 42 minutes. Real time. So that was City. City is arguably the hardest level in the game, probably. Not really, but I like to think of it as the hardest level in the game. So Old Site is where you first confront the girl in the cutscene we just skipped, known as a part of you, or battle line, as a lot of, as even the devs call it, actually. And the player base around the game call her battle line. She's basically like the evil, or as the game describes it, the pragmatic part of you. And now she's gonna follow you around and chase you. She's in the speedrun. She's not that hard to get away from. She's not that hard to keep ahead of. Whoops. Okay, let's do this strat then. Oh wow. Okay. There we go. That's the strat. Whoops. See if we can go in between. In between, there we go. That saves. Whoa, okay, that was not intentional. There we go, so it's over pretty quickly. I forgot to explain about the dream blocks. The dream blocks basically prolong your dash. Make you dash slightly faster. It's a pretty neat little fun feeling mechanic. So these dashes I'm doing right here, by the way, are hyper dashes. Like, actually, that's not hyper dash. These are hyper dashes. There's another one that I didn't explain called a wave dash. Wave dash is basically a hyper dash from the air. That was a really bad old site, whatever. Like, wave dashing is basically from the air, so you're dashing into the ground and then jumping immediately to preserve that momentum. It's all just based on the fact that your momentum, when you're on the ground, your momentum will be killed pretty quickly, but in the air, I forget how many frames you slow down in the air, but it's not as much as the ground. And the speed game pretty much relies on that. So here we have Celestial Resort, and the resort is very full of cycles just everywhere with these dust bunnies or depression boys or whatever you want to call them. The red guys just moving back and forth. Cool little extended hyper dash there to basically skip that entire part. Oh yeah, the green crystals you see me collecting, by the way, whoops, are crystals that will refill your dash, even though you haven't touched the ground yet. Your dash does get refilled when you touch the ground. So that's a wave dash right there to get through that cycle. It's very hard to talk and play this game at the same time. So I apologize for any inadequate explanations. Whoops, that was not intentional either. Gather meatballs, basically. And the owner of this hotel, if you want to even call it a hotel, Mr. Oshiro, we'll have fun with him later. Oh, God. I forgot to turn off stream alerts. I'll thank you guys after this video. So now you have to clean up this entire mess for Mr. Oshiro. This jump is pretty neat right here, if I can ever get it to work. There we go. So that little wall jump right there, basically you're just pretending the spikes aren't there. As long as you're moving away from the wall there, you will never get hit by the spikes. That saves a second or two, you know, if you don't die like I did. Whoops. So that trick right there is called, I call it a wall bounce. I think it's technically called a vertical hyper. When you're adjacent to a wall and you dash up, you can actually jump off the wall and increase your vertical speed pretty significantly. It's basically an advanced wall kick. You gotta hit each of these 3 buttons, and we do it in a specific order, actually. You might have noticed after the second one that we did, Oshiro was basically right there waiting for us. Like right at the entrance, or right at the exit to the room. That's by design. You can do those 3 parts in any order you want. But we do it in a specific order, because it's just slightly faster. Whoops, I missed the wall bounce. This room has 2 really fun wall bounces. Oh, okay, that was weird. Happened again. There we go. That was ugly. So we do that room really fast by just hyper dashing. That's honestly one of the most difficult rooms casually in Celestial Resort to get past. But we make pretty easy work of it with hyper dashes. Alright, so now we go ahead and fight the owner of this hotel. Oshiro is going to fly at you while you run away on the roof of it. I don't think I'm going to get underneath him. You can actually get underneath Oshiro in this last part here. Wow, I actually did, but I chickened out on it. That's a shame. Whatever. That was interesting. Not intentional. This last room, a lot of people have a lot of different strats for. It'll be interesting to see the different strats between myself and YP. Oops. Okay. Okay, Oshiro. That's fine. Okay, chapter 4 is probably my least favorite chapter. I'm actually warming up to it now that I'm getting better at it, but it used to be an awful chapter for me. There are a lot of little skips in this part of the game. I messed that room up. There are a lot of skips in this this chapter that are very risky but save a very small amount of time. Like that one, for instance. A lot of these rooms have much riskier strats as well, but you'd be hard-pressed to find them in any current RTA runs. Just because consistency is more important than saving half a second in a lot of places. I'm not gonna go for that. Alright. This run is actually, my splits are actually comparing to, my splits are comparing to my RTA, my PV's RTA time. For the sake of showing, like, the actual time being elapsed. To make it easier to find an estimate. Okay. So you can do this part in a lot of different ways. I like to do something called the reverse hyper off the walls there. You can skip some platforms and stuff there by doing it that way. You can also do wave dashes off the top, but I don't like doing that because I'm bad at them. And they're slightly less consistent. This room you just have to wait, unfortunately. This next room has a pretty cool cycle skip you can do if you do it well enough. There we go. With an extra wall bounce off the wall for style. And actually, that's actually an easier way to do it as well. These rooms with the wind can get really annoying. This room's fun though. Oops, I messed it up. It's no longer fun. There we go. Whatever. Oh boy. Right. That's fine. What? Okay, whoops. That was an alright bridge, I guess. Acceptable. Alright, now we move on to probably my favorite part of the run. That's the Mirror Temple. So Theo here, which is the guy you meet along your journey up the mountain, he'll come in a lot more important later. Whoops. Why did that not work? Whatever. Later on in the Mirror Temple, there will be an escort mission with Theo. Which is casually, I think the consensus on Theo is that he's very annoying casually to escort. Like, he's literally like in a crystal that you need to pick up and throw. Also, there was a skip way back there that I didn't even, like, mention. Basically, we were supposed to backtrack and enter a bubble, but we didn't do that. We just skipped it with a hyper dash. Pretty soon things are going to get pretty weird in the Mirror Temple. These bubbles, by the way, you can actually you can shoot out of these bubbles right away by just pressing the dash button. Ordinarily, you have to wait about half a second. So these switches. And a very interesting part of the game here, you actually take control of one of these enemies known as Seekers for a short period of time. It actually serves as kind of a tutorial of sorts that tell you the mechanics of the Seekers. But they're going to chase after you during this part. It's a very uneasy part of the game casually. It's kind of meant to be uneasy. Also, the Mirror Temple does introduce those platforms that move when you dash. It's a pretty interesting mechanic. So here are the Seekers. Neat little strat here with a wall bounce. There we go. Actually pulled it off. So the Seekers can actually hit these coins as well. These coins serve as kind of a, they're called lock switches properly. You have to hit every one of them in a room in order to progress. Whoa. Alright, you're fine. Oh, I didn't realize I didn't have a dash. Alright, so now we enter the search part of the Mirror Temple. So this skip right here, involving a reverse jump dash, actually saves about 3 minutes right there. It's pretty cool. It saves a lot of key grabbing. You'll notice we actually passed right over the 2 keys that we were supposed to collect in order to advance to this part, which is pretty funny actually. The funny thing though is that skip actually was intended by the developers to be found and used in speedruns. Alright, so now we are going to escort Theo. There's some speed tech with Theo, as you can already see, where you throw Theo and then jump dash and then catch him pretty much immediately after. It's much faster than just walking with him. See if we can land on this guy here. There we go. Theo can also collect the lock switches, by the way, which is nice. Whoa, that was close. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Sure. I'll take it. It was not how that room was drawn up. But again, I'll take it. Okay. Well, I was supposed to catch Theo there, but whatever. Some of the speed tech in this game is just crazy. Wow. Alright. Theo's kind of a bro. Whoops. That's fine. So I go a little bit of an unoptimal route there in order to... Oh, okay. He's dead. In order to not have the Seeker bother you as much. Theo, what are you doing, man? Okay. And that is Chapter 5, the Mirror Temple. Yeah, those guys can die. It's pretty funny when they do. It's pretty rare, actually. It's usually by accident. Alright, so these feathers, this is Chapter 6. This is sort of like a dream sequence from Chapter 6. The only point in the game where I actually use the analog is right here, because you have omnidirectional input with the feathers. The feathers basically make you fly through the air for a short amount of time. These guys, these little flomp guys, we call them Kevins, because the guy, because Kevin Regami made the sound for them from Power Up Audio. So you bash on one side of them, and then they fly in the direction that you bash them, or that you bash them into, whatever. So these neutral wall jumps are going to save me a trip over to the west side of this screen to conserve... Whoops. I tried something and it didn't work. Here we go. That's it. Just things happen way too fast to describe. We can completely skip those bumpers, which is nice, with extended hyper dashes and the momentum from the previous screen. Same with this, or we can skip the flomp. With the Kevin, excuse me. Gotta use proper terminology. Oh boy. That's fine. Yeah, you really notice in Chapter 6 especially, a huge part of the chapter is... not dying. A huge part of the chapter is maintaining the momentum from the previous screen. Or it's present in every chapter, but it's definitely most apparent in Chapter 6. Might have also noticed that cutscenes are instantly skippable in this game, just via menuing for it. Which is another good thing for the speedrun. And take some shortcuts here through the spikes. They're actually easier than they look. Except this one. The first two had setups, the last one did not. Just gotta kind of thread your way through the needle. Alright, so now we're gonna enter the battle line fight. And also we're gonna hear the best music in the game. This fight, like as soon as you get close to her, basically, it initiates the act of hitting her. It's kind of hard to describe. I probably sound like an idiot describing it. So on every screen, I'm doing something pretty specific to either manipulate where she shoots, or like those are nice extended hyper dash. Like that's a really good place to extend a hyper dash right there underneath the block. Makes things really quick. Here too, basically a really similar screen at the start. Again, with conserving momentum going into a screen. You jump tight enough here, you can actually get to battle line before she shoots that laser, which is really nice. It feels really good to get. It's not that bad to get, but it still feels good. Pretty good first half of the fight. This looks really cool, if done correctly. That little hyper dash there off the block, if timed well enough, it just goes straight to her. You don't have to worry about it. This room also looks really cool, if done correctly. That's the earliest like we can get. This entire fight really just looks cool if done correctly. This last room is by far the longest. This is the last room. Deaths at the end of this room can be very, very, very punishing. Alright, good fight. Whoops. This vertical section right here, I'm definitely utilizing wall bounces wherever I can, just to gain vertical speed. It's not a bad reflection time. 634, I'll take that. Alright, so now we enter by far the longest level of the game, Summit. This level should take around 10-11 minutes. If it's a good summit, it'll be less than 10. So by this point, you might have realized we have 2 dashes now. So basically, like, story-wise... Oops, I can save this, actually. No, I can't, never mind. Story-wise, you're climbing the mountain again, basically, but you're doing it really quickly because you've made a resolution with that part of you, that pragmatic part of you, and you're working together to climb the mountain, as you can see. It's pretty sweet, actually. Oddbod, thank you for the host, dude. Sure. Why not? So you're doing a lot of these rooms in ways that, well, you'd think they aren't intended. But trust me when I say a lot of these rooms were actually intended by the developers to be done this way, for the sake of the speedrun. Like, this game was practically made with speedrunning in mind. In fact, it was definitely made with speedrunning in mind. Maybe a little wall bounce there. So each section basically corresponds to each chapter and the mechanics that were introduced in each chapter, which is really cool. It's like walking through the game again. So this is the old site, or chapter 2 part. We just did the chapter 1 part, or the city part. Followed by the summit part at the end, which basically introduces, well, it introduces nothing new, but it's just like it's the final challenge. This is probably the worst part of the entire summit, this part. Just like chapter 3 itself. But there are some cool strats for each room. If you do them correctly, of course. This room is kind of tight. There we go. I like that strat because it looks like you're about to die and then you just don't come back up for air. A little shortcut here that we like to take. It's both safer and a little faster. I think that's like. So this part of Summit is probably the hardest to do optimally, but it does contain some pretty cool skips, like this one, for instance. This isn't really a skip; it's just like a certain route that we take that's faster. This room is the bane of my speedruns right here. Oh, yeah, that happens. Wait, what? There we go, that's better. Alright, so there's a pretty cool skip here. So this is an auto-scroller screen, right? Not anymore. There we go. And the wall jump to get up there as well. Honestly, that's the easiest part of the room. This room, you just gonna have to sit there and take it. Nothing you can do to speed that room up. This room's pretty cool. Each of these sections has this really long room at the end. Or some are long, some aren't. Where Battle Line just basically launches you up to the next section. This right here, the 2,500 meter section, is definitely my favorite part of the entire speedrun. This strat is really cool right here. So you can actually skip whoa, okay. Whoops. You can skip the lower part of this this part right here. It's supposed to go down low and grab a bubble to go up to access that key, but we don't do that because we're cool. Okay. There we go. Come on. There we go. There's a faster strat you can do in this room, but it's terrible, and I'll do it. It saves like a second and a half. Oh yeah, one thing I did not... Whoa, okay. One thing I did not mention is that there is 0 RNG in this game. At least none pertaining to the speedrun at all. Alright, so now we enter the last part of the summit. Oh, come on. What was that? Been practicing some new strats here. There we go. Ugh. Okay. So if I mess up, I'll just blame it on that. Whoa, I didn't expect to get that. Yeah, I'm reading chat. What's wrong with that? Why is that a bad thing? Yeah, there's really nothing much to say about this part. It's just pretty precise platforming. I can say that this part gets extremely nerve-wracking in runs on good pace. Which I guess is a result of, well, the first part, as you can see, introduced a downdraft. Basically, the game changes the physics on you once you get here, and it makes things a little bit uncomfortable. So I guess that's part of it. And then you get here and everything's fine again. Whoops. Never mind. And we're coming down the home stretch. This is flag 2. Wall bounce there is cool. Almost done. Time will be coming up in a couple seconds once we hit the flag, and that's time right there. And that's Celeste any percent. I would say that, yeah, this run, basically, I would say a good RTA estimate is about 40 minutes or so. Maybe a little bit higher since, you know, like marathon stuff can, you know, marathon atmosphere can maybe influence some things in ways they don't normally. We'll see. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'm TGH. I hope my explanations were at least adequate enough. It's very hard, once again, to talk and play this game at the same time. We'll have some really good commentary on the couch, though. Hopefully. So, hope you'll see you guys then. Alright. Peace out, guys. Thanks again for watching.